Carrie.
All right, Lila's first.
Did she read that?
Huh?
Did she read that?
You want to go? Okay. No. So, I don't know, some of y'all may not even know what's going on. So, us women went to the eWomen conference on Friday night and Saturday, and Pastor asked us, he said, when y'all get back, I want y'all to kind of speak on what you got from the conference, you know? We want to know where our money's going, is what he's saying. So, one by one, we're just going to kind of share what we got from the, you know, what we liked about it, or what we got from the eWomen's conference.
Okay.
Lila, or Michaela?
I'm right under you.
No, you're going to come on this.
Okay, well, first off, I just want to say that this is my second year going, and it's really nice because, like, I don't really know who's all going. Like, I just know that me and my mom and my sister are going, and Felicia. So it's always a nice surprise to see different women on the bus every year, and some of the same women that went the year before. And I just want to say that it's really nice to get to know all of the women that are there and see how they take different things from the same thing that we sing. Okay, anyway, it's kind of like different. This year, there's different ladies that I never really talked to. Like before in this church, like I've like, hi, how are you, good morning, you know, stuff like that. But I've never really sat down and talked to them and learned their stories. So it was really nice to, you know, go through this conference and like get to know them and their story, and then see what they took from it. Because it's kind of cool to, you know, write down stuff or take notes on what you got from the message, and then to hear what they got out of the same message you listened to, but they got different things because it relates to what they go through. But I don't remember what I was gonna say. But anyway, that's all I have. Hello. This is my second year going, and can you hear me now? Yeah. Okay, so this is my second year going, right? Yeah. And what I got out of it is like, it doesn't matter what you walk through, it matters how you walk through it. So if you go in it sad and all that, it's gonna come out sad. If you go in it positive, it's gonna come out positive.
Hello. Well, it was my first time ever going, and it was really great. I did learn a lot of people, you know, and talk, and the performance was great, and it was really nice, you know. I'd like to go again.
He asked us to come back and kind of tell what we got out of it, and so everything was wonderful. This is my third year going, but I got something out of this that really meant something to me, and I kind of want to share it with y'all. There was a lady there named Laura Story, and she told her story, and she read us a passage out of the Bible, and she gave us this passage, and it just meant so much to me, because I personally have been in addiction for a long time in my life, and I've been sober now for 5 years. So when she told us the story, it opened up my eyes in a new way to look at things. So if you could pull up Mark 5:25 through 34. And a woman was there who had been subject to bleeding for 12 years. She had suffered a great deal under the care of many doctors and had spent all she had, yet instead of getting better, she grew worse. When she heard about Jesus, she came up behind him in the crowd and touched his cloak, because she thought, if I just touched his clothes, I will be healed. Immediately, her bleeding stopped, and she felt it in her body that she was freed from her suffering. At once, Jesus realized that power had gone out of him. He turned around in the crowd and asked, "Who touched my clothes?" You see, the people crowding against you, his disciples answered, and yet you can ask, who touched me? But Jesus kept looking around to see who had done it. Then the woman, knowing what had happened to her, came and fell at his feet, trembling with fear, and told him the whole truth. He said to her, "Daughter, your faith has healed you. Go in peace and be freed from your suffering." Can you go back to 25, please? So I look at this, and I look at this scripture right here, and I realize, that many of us out here, we struggle every day with some kind of addiction, some kind of stronghold on us. There are many of us out here fighting something each and every day. And we feel ashamed, we feel unclean, we feel not wanted, as this woman did. And, you have to look at it, you see what she's going through, but this is where it takes a turn. And 27 through 28, please. She hears that he's coming, and she has so much faith in him, just so much in the name because of what she has heard from him, that she just goes to him, and she just feels like, I could just get just little touch from him. Anything will save my soul from where I'm at, and it doesn't matter where you are in life, everybody is fighting something, and you gotta have that faith in you though. And one of the ladies, she said, you see, faith is a gift from God, but to trust him is our gift back. So, everybody, they look at it like, oh, you gotta have faith, but you also have to look at it as if you have faith, you have to trust him to heal you from whatever it is that you're fighting out there, So I took that, and then I'm trying to read my notes. I'm not good. God, he likes receiving gifts as much as you do. So when you show him that trust, that means a big deal to him. And that's whenever, he just kind of takes it, and he takes your faith, and he'll put that healing on you if you just stand true to him and you hold steady to it. But that's not what got me. That wasn't the part that got me whenever she talks about this. What got me was, he go down to 30, where he feels her touch, and he's asking who touched me, and she comes to him, and she bows down, like we kneel at the altar every day. She bows down, and she gives it all to him, and she just tells him everything that has been bothering her, everything that is on her mind, everything that is on her heart, and she lets it go. And he turns to her, and 33 through 34, she says, the woman, knowing what had happened, she came to him and she bows down, 34. And he tells her, "Daughter, your faith has healed you. Go in peace and be freed from your suffering." How many of you feel nameless when you're sitting there and you're fighting all these battles and you feel like you're not worth anything? You feel like no one loves you, no one's out there for you, And this woman, she has no name in the beginning of the story. She's the woman with the issue of blood, the woman with addiction, the woman with hurt, depression, pain. She's the woman fighting a battle. And she turns, and he turns to her and he says, "Daughter, your faith has healed you." He gives her a name. He gives her that second chance. He gives her something to go on, something to live on. And that just struck me in a whole nother way to look at that story, because you just don't know every day what each and every one of us are going through. You don't realize the pains that we're all fighting. And if we could all just reach out and just touch him, just touch him, just get a little trust, give him a little trust, get a little faith from him. There's a healing out there. There's a healing out there, and it's him. So that's what I took from it, and I recommend all you ladies go to it, because every year that I've went, I feel the power come off me when I come back. It grows me. There's so many good speakers there, so many stories that each woman is different. Each woman has a different story. Some of them tell the exact same scriptures, with a different story, and it means something. So if you ever get a chance, just take a chance and go. You young girls too. Come on out.
One of the things she said that really got me was each year it just grows her. It's like, that's exactly how I feel. This is my third year also. And it's like each year it just adds to like last year, Like I think throughout the year, of course, our faith and our knowledge and stuff is growing. But when you leave there, it just feels like it just added from the last year. It's just amazing. Like I said, it was my third year of going. And it's so empowering to see all the women and to hear their amazing stories and how God has worked in each one of their lives. Each one of us took something from it, and just us listening to their, just like me listening to Sister Tonya up here talking, it's just amazing. Like I listened to that same story, but then when she says this, I'm like, oh yeah, like that's just amazing how each one of us, took little bits and pieces from each speaker. So it was really hard to pick just one, but there's a few that really touched me. One of the speakers spoke about the manna God provided in Exodus. When they were all hungry, God spoke to Moses, informing him that it would pour down manna, which is bread or cake-like. And they all celebrated. But soon after, they started to grumble because that's all they had to eat. When they were hungry and this manna poured down, they were all excited and they were celebrating. But then after a while, it was like that's all they had to eat, and they got tired of it and they started grumbling. And she said, so how long does it take us to want more from God? She had lost a child and her dad, and she talked about how the path wasn't what she had chose. But with these scriptures, God had pointed out to her it was enough for them to survive. The manna was enough for them to survive. The path of our lives at times may not be what we envisioned or wanted, but God is giving us what we need to survive. We are making it. And it's up to us to thank Him for that manna He has given us. And to me, that was just amazing because, every day I think we all struggle. And then for her to hear, but what He's giving us is enough for us to survive. I'm surviving. Like, that's all I can ask for, is just getting through another day and just growing stronger each day. So that really got me. She also talked about her daughter sharing a chocolate chip cookie. And she watched her daughter had a friend over, and the friend wanted half of the chocolate chip cookie. She talked about how she watched her daughter break the cookie in half and look at both sides, and she gives the friend the smaller piece. And she said, at first she was going to get onto her, and then she thought, well, at least she shared. But later on, she heard her daughter say, why I gave you that piece? I gave you the piece with the most chocolate chips. And then she said she had given her the better portion, that she just did not understand the scale. And a lot of times we don't understand the scale. We sit there and we ask God, change this, change that, but we don't even know what we're working with. He sees our future. So maybe when He doesn't answer that prayer that we feel like He needs to answer, we haven't looked at what lies ahead. There's reasons for everything. But instead we kind of complain and grumble, but we should just be thankful for what we have. So that opened my eyes a lot. It's hard, but I have so much to be thankful for, and I am surviving. There was also another speaker that I really liked, Shalina Bryan. She was hilarious. She spoke twice. The first day she said, when we have a hole in our heart, we grab anything and everything to fill it. And I really like that because, how true is that? We see that every single day. I do the same thing. If you're hurting, you're just trying to survive. You're just trying to fill that hole in your heart. And a lot of times we turn to, drugs, or we turn to, just whatever, cigarettes or drinking, or just whatever makes us forget about it. But instead, she said that God did not leave us hopeless. And I thought, how amazing is that? We always turn to the things other than God. We turn to everything else to fill that hole, but really all we need is God. He did not leave us hopeless. There's a special story just for you, so use it. She also said that, and I thought that was amazing. So many times we don't want to use our story or our testimony because we feel ashamed, we feel embarrassed, we feel exposed. If He's seen you through it, if it can help others and God's work was in it, use it. That was one thing she said, it's your story, use it. If He's seen you through it, then use it. And it's really hard to stand up here sometimes and to give your testimony, to let I've heard a lot of testimonies in this church, from addiction to, not wanting to live to just struggling. And that's really hard, and you have to be brave and bold to stand up here and tell everybody how you were on your weakest, But to do that and to show how God pulled you through it says a lot. So I just like that. I like when she said, it's your story, use it. Because a lot of times we don't want to use our story. We think we're the only ones that have felt like that. We're the only ones that had that weakness or, was on our knees praying to God. But each and every one of us have different stories. And we should just, be strong and proud that maybe we were at that weak point and maybe nobody else has been there, but we were there. We cried out to God and He brought us from it. So I just felt like with her saying that, I don't know, it gave me more confidence, that when I do use my story, when I do use my testimonies, to know that I shouldn't be ashamed of it, that God got me through it for a reason, and maybe I can help somebody else. But the biggest heart wrencher was she had talked about this photographer. I told you I liked a lot of it. It was hard to pick just a couple speakers, but she also talked about this photographer that was sent over to Africa, and I think we have the picture. Carrie, pull it up. Is it up there? Starving. He's trying. Double click. She talked about this photographer. I'm going to go ahead and kind of tell the story. That took this picture right here over in Africa. And I cannot remember the age of this baby. But he was like 2 or 3, I think. She just kind of said roundabout age. And as you can see, he's hungry or she's hungry and was crawling to a food tent. And wasn't very far from the food tent. But they took the picture. He did not realize, is that a vulture? Okay, I didn't know it was a vulture. Okay, so he did not realize the vulture was in the background until after he took the picture. They had told them before they went over there, don't get involved, don't interact, just take your pictures and then leave. So he sees that vulture in the back and he kicks at it, trying to shoo it away from the baby. And they're hollering for him and he leaves. Okay, so then he leaves. And when he comes back, this picture made him, I guess got his name out there. He was known for this picture right here. He won awards and just was really recognized for this picture, but nobody really knew what happened to the kid. And he had left, and didn't look after the kid or make sure the kid made it. So 2 years after he won the awards and was really known for the photography that he did, he had committed suicide. And after that, she said, I'm not afraid of you. I'm not afraid you're going to fail. I'm afraid you're going to succeed at something that does not matter. And sometimes we get so comfortable doing small stuff because that's what we're good at. But if we don't take risks and be bold and show love when it matters, we're never going to truly succeed where it counts. When she said that, it just really touched my heart. Because I'm like, there's so many times, there's so many people that are just, they're famous for this, or famous for their movies, and, sometimes we think, oh, it'd be nice, to have that house that they have, or live that life that they live. But honestly, are they succeeding in life, Sometimes you can stand up there and you can get a Grammy, or you can get all the awards, but when it mattered, he didn't step up. He didn't make sure that this baby was okay. He didn't go above and beyond and show love and compassion. He just followed the rules and took the picture and shooed the bird away and left. But at the end of it, he couldn't live with his decision. And it just kind of made me think too, at the end of our lives, you know, we've had so many decisions and so many times, like, did we stand up and do what was right? Did we sit there and, you know, follow God in all of the decisions that we've made? And I don't know, it just really touched me and made me think about a lot of things. So, but not only do we go to the conference to learn and to hear these women's stories, you also get to meet them, and you buy their books, and you get autographs and pictures. It's pretty cool. But we also, like, you know, Michaela and them said, we also get to hang out with some of the women at the church, and each year it's just amazing hearing their stories and laughing and goofing off and having our fun times and stuff. So if anybody next year wants to go, Felicia told everybody, Felicia had asked me to go several years before. She said that she's been going for 10 years, so it might have been 10 years. And you know, the kids were young, I just didn't have time, I didn't really have the money, but it is so worth it. This is my 3rd year, and I hope and pray that I'm able to go every year. But I also wanted to give a big shout out to Felicia, because every year she organizes this. She plans, she's got the rooms, she knows who's bedding with who, she's got the prices together, she knows what time we're leaving the church, what time we're getting at this restaurant. We were late a little at first day, but it's okay. She drives the bus, and let me tell you, she backed that bus up one time. She wasn't forward and then backed up and then forward again, because that's how I am in my vehicle along with the bus. She was awesome. So I just want to say thank you for always organizing it and driving us around, because I couldn't drive us around.
Can you get the PowerPoint ready? Well, I don't know how I'm going to follow that. I'm more of a reader than a speaker. So that's why I got a PowerPoint, and I'm hoping that it works. Okay, it does. Okay, so first of all, before I get started, I want to just explain. I mean, I counted up, I actually made sure today. It has been 10 years. This was my 10th year of going in a row to eWomen. So it doesn't really seem like it. So I can't get this microphone just right. But I went to another church before here, went to, there for about 5 years. And in 2011, it was my first year. And Casting Crowns was there. That's where I fell in love with Casting Crowns. So, and they're still my favorite band. But it's so awesome how God works. Like, I started there, I started there my 2nd year of going there, because I was nervous to go with strangers my first year. So, I spent 5 years there, and then, the past, I'll say 4 years here, because my first year here, I was kind of nervous to invite people that I didn't know at Sonshine, so I just went by myself and, met up with my other church. So my 2nd year, so 2nd, 3rd, and 4th year here now, I've invited you guys. It's just so amazing that I went from another church by myself, and then I didn't have to share that with y'all that I go to an eWomen conference, but I did. I just felt God, told me to do that. And now we have 13 people, and then I don't know, I didn't keep count of the other 2 years, and then Monica from Quentin, she went with us last year. She brought her church people this year. It's just so awesome how when you listen to God, God just doesn't move in one motion. He starts branching out. And so, like Tegan, she's gone with us every year. The first year she was here in church. The 2nd and 3rd year, she's not even here in church anymore. She's still going. And she wanted to invite people from church, but they was like, oh, I don't really know. How about you take notes and you come and present? So maybe she's doing something like we are tonight, and maybe next year they can go. So it's just so awesome how we can, follow God, and we can touch people's lives in ways that we couldn't even imagine. So I just wanted to throw that out there. So I just made a PowerPoint. I got a couple of pictures that I got from there. They're kind of poor quality, but I just went ahead and got this PowerPoint together, hoping that your eyes will be on that instead of me. So the verse that we stood on was our main verse, was Psalm 62:5. So the saying of the night was, "It is well." And that's the reason why I played It Is Well song. So Psalm 62:5 says, "Yes, my soul, find rest in God. My hope comes from Him." So this pretty much all their messages kind of related back to that message, to that scripture. And this is the picture that I took. So my emphasized, God is my hope, my rock, my salvation, my fortress, my refuge. He's just not a God. He's your God. He's our God. Learn to speak. Speak to God. Speak to your own soul by owning God's character. Speak to your community. Speak and make Him Lord. So don't just keep Him to yourself. Share Him. Here's another picture. Nothing is more dangerous to Satan than a believer who is willing to obey God and believe His word no matter how they feel. So the devil can't take away what we're not willing to give up. So your husband, your wife, your kids, your friend, your church leader, whoever, they're not the enemy. The devil is, and he's not flesh. Ephesians 6:12 says, "For your struggle is not against flesh and blood, but against the rulers, against authorities, against the powers of this dark world, and against the spiritual forces of evil in the heavenly realms." So whom are we listening to? Who's in control? Are we listening to, profanity in songs? Are we listening to our friends tell us bad advice? Or are we listening to God, the only one we need to listen to, because He's the only one that can get you through your struggles. And well, not because we're well, because our soul is well. There's going to be trouble. God has overcome this world. Jesus took the penalty of death so we can have a relationship with God. And this kind of made that for on a tombstone or something. So we all have a birth date and we all have an expiration date. Until your time expires, fix your eyes on Jesus. And these things I just pulled from the conference, and it's kind of crazy. Like, you spoke about the leading woman, that was not in my notes. You spoke about several things, and I'm like, yeah, I remember that, but that was not in my notes. So it's just awesome how we interpret everything. And this is the part where I talked about the cookie. So kind of along with the cookie thing, she broke the cookie in half to share with her friends. She gave the smaller portion, and she told her that there was more chocolate chips in the smaller one, so she didn't realize that until after the fact. And Sheree said, God does that for us, and sometimes we may not know exactly why that we're in the situation that we're in. We just don't see the scale. And so she also said with that, you can't stand on what you don't know. You may not see the scale. And there is a plan. Absolutely everything is part of the plan. Jesus is the plan. He's the point of the plan. Ephesians 1:5 says, "Having predestined us unto the adoption of children by Jesus Christ to Himself, according to the good pleasure of His will." God has adopted us. He's redeemed us. We have been saved by His loving grace. And so when I think of adoption, we actually went to a car dealership to buy our vehicle.